Most of us are holding something. That's an experience that you can't see. It's very taboo to talk about grief. And there's some expectation that you're supposed to be over your loss at a certain period of time, 3 months, 6 months, a year, and that doesn't really exist. We need to talk about it and normalize grief as something that's just part of the human experience. My name is Talia Jones. I am a grief counselor. My official title is Bereavement Care Provider, working for the Medical Examiner's Office and Philly Heals. My job is kind of hybrid because I'm navigating the two teams. For the MEO, they consider like what we do concierge level of service to the grieving families who come in. So that could be releasing ashes. It could be if they have questions about who to go to for a toxicology report or records request. We kind of funnel them in the right direction, as well as providing grief resources and counseling if they want it. So at the MEO, there's 5 bereavement care providers. We are all kind of split based on the population that we work with. So I handle suicide deaths and drug and alcohol loss. We have someone who does natural deaths. We have someone who does fetal death, infant loss, etc. With the MEO cases that we get that are drug and alcohol deaths, we refer all of those next of kin to Philly Heals services. Our services are a little bit more robust, whereas with the MEO, it's typically brief counseling. With Philly Heals, it can look like that, but it can also look like group services. So we do a lot of peer support groups. We also do a grief peers program where if someone wants to connect with someone who has a similar loss, we can connect them and they can connect on a one-on-one basis. And then we also have a lot of services for children and youth as well. So I graduated from grad school with a master's in clinical mental health counseling. My background is in addiction and trauma. So when I saw the job posting for this, I saw that it was working with people who lost loved ones to substance use, and it was kind of like right in my alley. And I'm really passionate about doing the work in this space. A lot of the losses that we deal with are very stigmatized losses, particularly drug and alcohol death, but then we also do suicide deaths, homicide, gun violence. Because of that stigmatization, it can just make people feel very lonely in their losses. There's a lot of blame on the people who pass, for their lifestyle. And so it's like layers of like trauma on top of loss. And I just want to bring my experience to help the families who are going through that, as well as let them know, like, even though a lot of these things are stigmatized, it doesn't mean that that person isn't worthy of being honored in their loss, or, having their story told, or grieving them just as they would any other loss. Tapping into help, and as soon as possible, can be the difference between going through the healing journey versus like stuffing things down and just trying to move on without dealing with it. Because it's going to come up at some point. Grief exists on so many levels within a person. So the primary loss may be the loss of the person, but depending on the relationship, the person, who's experiencing the loss may have all these other snowball effect things happening in their life. You consider someone who lost a partner, they may have lost income, they may have housing instability now. So there's all these other components of it that's grief, but not what you can see. So one of the things I always talk to clients about when we're getting started in our counseling work is the impact on grief in the brain. A lot of times we think of grief as an emotional process when it is actually a very physical and a neurological process as well. When the person passes and the loved one finds out, our brains go into survival mode. And so what that can look like, anything from mood changes, trouble sleeping, trouble eating, cognitive changes. And because we're working with human beings, naturally that's going to show up, or it could show up when they come to work. Some people following a loss, they may power through because they're not ready to deal with it yet. They need distractions and they might increase productivity. Some people may give more to those effects that are happening. So they may not have the energy or the capability to be as fast, maybe, right? They may slow down a little bit. And so it can look differently in the workplace. I think the most important thing for people to know is that they are going through a lot of changes that they can't necessarily control. It's, grief and loss. It's not the kind of thing you can just shake off and keep moving. It's very possible that the person you knew the day before is completely different, or they're not there anymore. It's a whole process. The idea of the stages of grief, anger, depression, guilt, bargaining, and acceptance phases, and this idea of acceptance needs to kind of be debunked a little bit because no one really accepts the loss, but here we promote that they learn to integrate it into their lives and learn to accept joy in while also holding deep sorrow. And so in the workplace, having a manager understand that it's a whole process. It's not just you go through these stages and you're better. It's back and forth, up and down. Someone might have a really bad day after having weeks that are okay. Encouraging them to get support. No one should have to do it alone. And so if you can say to your employee or colleague, it's okay to get help. It's okay to get treatment. I had one client who said that her manager said, take off a month, take your FMLA and go get the help that you need. So that's really supportive. Just having managers, supervisors who just understand what you see on the outside, your person who's masking or smiling or being really productive, they're probably going through something heavy, and leading with compassion can be really supportive. Well, working here has definitely changed the way I think about grief and loss in multiple ways. So the first being just that time itself is so precious. I run the partner loss support group for Philly Heals, and being someone who was married myself, after every session, it just makes me so grateful for my partner and the things that I have in my life. Lots of self-care is involved because it is heavy. I'm constantly managing how to sit with clients when they're often in the worst day of their lives, managing my own feelings so that they're not impacted, and make sure I'm showing up for people in my home life, even when those heavier days are kind of taken home with me. The bereavement care providers are actually contracted by the city through the Health Federation of Philadelphia. So we're not technically city employees, but being that we're contracted, everything aligns with the vision that the city has for their employees. We have pretty decent benefits. I'm particularly interested in the ones that are for health and wellness, and they provide a lot of those. Both of my managers are very supportive of, what we do here, and they understand that it is heavy work. They have gotten supervision for us, a clinical supervision that's contracted to help support us in our role. So that's someone who can help us decompress, strategize how to manage self-care, manage our caseloads. We also have a very supportive team. And I think just having people who are in it, together, we can decompress together and just vent and talk about what we're experiencing. I identify as a person in recovery, which is also why I'm so passionate about the addiction side of the work. Between my own experience, what I've learned at school, what I've learned at previous jobs, and this one, it's helped me to really see that most people are suffering in some kind of way. We live in a society where people are praised for how well they're able to bounce back from, something heavy, and I want more people to also be praised for dealing with the stuff that's really heavy, for feeling their emotions. I also want to advocate for, people having compassion for others who may have a different experience. Respect is such a simple word, but it can go such a long way. Respect that, someone's journey may look heavier than it seems like it is on the outside. I would just encourage folks to just go on the City of Philadelphia Bereavement Support. Is a link to the MEO's landing page, which talks about our services, but it also has a number of other agencies. Health Federation of Philadelphia's website also lists a number of health and wellness supports that employees have access to. So we'll just check those out.